And welcome back to Between the Ropes. Steve Kim, Doug Fisher talking boxing. And this weekend from the StubHub Center in Carson, California, a highly anticipated tripleheader on HBO. They're calling this one SuperFly, and it's headlined by the rematch for the WBC 115-pound title. Srikrasset Sorungvasai takes on Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. And then for the WBC Eliminator, Juan Francisco Estrada takes on Carlos Cuadras. And it's the American debut of the Japanese monster, Naoya Inoue, takes on Antonio Nieves. And Doug, great stat about this card that we're going to be ringside at. These fighters have a combined record of 190, 9-5, 149 knockouts.
Nice.
That speaks for itself.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, you combine them all together, and they're like one of those old-time, golden age great fighters, like a Henry Armstrong.
A good 2-year stretch for
150 wins and 100 knockouts, that kind of thing. That's amazing. That's why people are excited about this fight. I mean, this entire card, all three fights, you're guaranteed like a Fight of the Year candidate with the rematch between Chocolatito and Sorungvasai.
The first one,
and the Cuadras.
I read your mailbag. I completely agree, and I get it. Joshua Klitschko caused the buzz because they're the big guys. There's heavyweight boxing and there's boxing. But I'm with you. We were there ringside, and maybe we're biased because we were there. But for pure sustained action from round 1 to round 12, nothing was better than that fight.
Yeah, the first fight between Roman Gonzalez and Sorungvasai was as good as championship boxing gets. I mean, you had an early knockdown. You had a dude having to deal with awful cuts. You had guys going toe-to-toe. I was just amazed by Gonzalez. Watching him kind of pull himself out of that small hole in the early rounds and come on as hard as he did in the middle rounds and the late rounds, and Sorungvasai coming right back and just giving his all. I thought to myself, this is why Chocolatito, in my book, is pound for pound. He's number one, and this is why I love the little guys. They just they give us their hearts. With the big guys, it was an amazing event, and you had 3 dramatic rounds. Yeah. Right? You had the rounds where they were the knockdowns, and then you had round 11 where the fight ended. Right?
The only thing that overshadowed Sorungvasai Chocolatito as a fight may have been the controversial decision. I believe the large majority of ringside panelists had Chocolatito remaining undefeated. Also, the co-feature now, this is interesting. The WBC actually said there has to be a rematch between the two. So Estrada and Cuadras now is an eliminator. So the winner of these two fights will eventually meet. Cuadras and Estrada's, I'm not saying they're Barrera Morales, but there's a Mexican Hatfield and McCoy's going on here. They don't get along.
See, I wasn't familiar with the rivalry or the grudge match between these guys. So I guess they've been going at it in the Spanish language media, particularly the Mexican media. I know Cuadras can talk. He's a bit of a showman outside of the ring as well. What I like about these guys really pertains to their body of work in the ring. I mean, these guys are young, they're athletic, they're skilled, they've got good technique, and they're both former champions. These guys, and they're not just guys who had a title for a hot second. They won the title against quality fighters, and they made numerous title defenses against quality challengers. So I can't see how this is not going to be a good fight.
And Doug, this is what I call the sandwich fight for Cuadras. I thought he pushed Chocolatito to the brink last September.
Absolutely.
And against David Carmona, you could just tell there was a letdown. He was looking ahead and squeaked by.
He mailed it in.
Now, again, motivation is so key in any sport. And Yogi Berra once said it, 90% of this game is half mental or something to that degree. In other words, for Carmona, he probably didn't run more than 2 miles. For this fight, with so much on the line and on this stage against another Mexican, I think we're going to see a much better version of Carlos Cuadras. And Doug, it's the debut. And I think this is part of the new philosophy at HBO and maybe in general with television executives. I think 10 years ago, we never see a Nui in the U.S.
No one
never.
cares. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think fight fans have changed because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, fighters like Inoue, they fought their entire careers in Japan, and we never got to see them. But thanks to the internet age, we can see streams, live streams, or we can at least see on YouTube.
Not always legal either.
Yeah, we can see tape, basically, of the top fighters from other regions of the world, and hardcore fight fans get excited about these guys, and they don't care how small they are. They see talent and recognize talent when they see it, and that's what Inoue is. I mean, this is a guy with 13 fights, and he's already a 2-division champion, and he's fought some really good fighters.
Yeah, speaking of what you said, I remember when we first got in the game, there was a guy by the name of Yuri Arbachikov who was this fantastic blockbuster flyweight, but unfortunately, he was never going to get a chance to showcase his skills or even set up a showdown with Mark Too Sharp Johnson. The world has shrunk, and now we get to see guys like Inoue. So before we wrap it up, I want to say this once again. 190 wins, 9 losses, 5 draws, 149 knockouts between all the participants of SuperFly this Saturday from the StubHub Center in Carson, California on HBO. When we come back, me and Doug Fisher, we wrap it up.